Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to this midweek review with Mr. John. Have you ever been in charge of a task to do something and you just didn't feel like you were supported or had somebody had your back? Well, we can kind of feel like this. Here I have two pieces of paper rolled up into tubes, and I'm going to take this piece of paper, I'm going to set it on top of here, and then I have a Kleenex box with Kleenexes in, as you can see. Now, we sometimes, when we get into tasks, we can feel like this, just not supported, and nobody there to help us in the task that we are doing. So there's this leader, a judge. We talked about Deborah last week. We're going to talk about another judge, a judge named Gideon. Gideon was probably not the most physique type, muscle bound, strong dude there was, because an angel came to Gideon and said, hey, you are going to be a leader, the leader of the Israelites. And his first reaction was like, whoa, you got the wrong dude here. I'm like from the littlest tribe, and I am like the littlest dude. But God had great intentions for Gideon. And the great thing about Gideon is he may not have felt worthy. And sometimes, you, like I said, you may not feel like other people have your back, but he knew God had his back. So there was this tribe called the Midianites, and Gideon knew that they were going to attack the Israelites, and so he was going to protect them. And Gideon had this massive army of like 22,000 men, 26,000 men. It was a huge army. And Gideon decides that he wants to show that God is in control, that we can trust God. So he says, we're not going to fight the Midianites with our entire army. So he basically slashes the army in half, takes them. And so God comes into Gideon and says, hey, we need to slash this army a little bit smaller, okay? So here's what I want you to do. Now, this is going to sound funny. He sends Gideon and all his troops, they go to a river, and he says, I want you to watch how your soldiers drink from the river. If they go down and they lap it up like a dog, then they will be able to fight. So everybody kind of drinks water different. Some of them just stuck their head in the water. Some of them poured it in like this. And it was the ones who scooped it up in their hand and licked it out of their hands like a dog were the ones that got to go with Gideon and fight the Midianites. Now, Gideon was a good tactician, and he was told by God how he should battle the Midianites. And it was a really crazy story because he was to take the 300 men, split them into three different troops. So you got 300 men. Gideon and his men go in. He tells his men, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go up. We're going to sneak around them. We're going to surround all the Midianites. You're going to have a torch inside of a glass jar, and you're going to have a trumpet. And when you hear me scream out, you're going to scream out, this is for Israelite and the sword of Gideon. And so Gideon, they sneak around Gideon and his soldiers sneak around the Midianites, and all of a sudden you hear this great scream, this is for Israel and the sword of Gideon. And they start blasting their trumpets, and they bust the jars, and they pull the torches out, and they raise it up. When the Midianites saw that they were surrounded by all these torches, they thought that the army was greater than it probably was, and they went into panic. And because God was with them, he kind of made the Midianites see each other as enemies in their panic. So they started attacking each other. Gideon and his men won the battle because they trusted God. Now, I showed you our little trick with, showed you when we are sometimes feel alone and we're by ourselves. But when we have, now this is a piece of paper, I just folded it into many little creases. I'm going to set it up. Oh, I'm a little too far here. And so I'm going to set this up like this. If I can get it to stay. Balancing is the issue. So we're on there. And now I'm going to set this box up. When we have the support of God and we trust that God has got our back, we stand tall. So, hey, I just want to thank you for hanging with me in this midweek review. I know I'm kind of hidden by this, but this is a great thing to see that God has our back, that he supports us, and he's with us at all times. And when we have God on our back and with us, we are supported and we can stand tall. Trust God, trust Jesus. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye. The memory verse for this month says, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and love mercy and walk humbly with God." Micah 6:8.